Okay, so we have created for our final project for microcontrollers a self-solving LED Rubik's Cube. It's supposed to imitate a 2x2 Rubik's Cube, which we have here for reference. And when we turn it on, you can see that it initializes itself to follow the same faces. Because we are faulting opaque plastic, it is just the LEDs burning your eye sockets out. But we have white on top, violet instead of orange because violet and yellow are too similar and we can't mess with voltage values. Blue, green, yellow, and red, which is the exact same as a normal 2x2 Rubik's Cube. Now, as you can see, when you press one of these 8 buttons, it will rotate the corresponding face either clockwise or counterclockwise. So if we press this button, it will turn the up face, which is this one, clockwise. As you can verify, it is exactly the same. This goes for all of them, so let's turn left counterclockwise. You can see you have white, white, red, blue, 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 violet, violet. In this case, it's orange, orange. So all of those are working properly. Now, if you'd like to do random.
Awesome. So on top of that, to significantly randomize a Rubik's Cube, it takes just a couple number of spins and you've got yourself one that's pretty sufficiently randomized. Our cube is also capable of doing that as well. By pressing one button here on the side of our cube, will cause a random shuffle of about 8 turns to occur on the cube, which you can see in real time. It travels kind of quick, but if you do see it, your cube's now pretty sufficiently randomized, and you can go ahead, if you're smarter than I am, you can go ahead and try and solve a Rubik's Cube, which I cannot do.
And I don't want to do right now because I taught this thing how to solve itself. What we can do is as this is solving itself, we can have James talk about the hardware. But this button right here calls it an algorithm that it will solve itself. First, it will solve the white face on top, then it will solve the yellow face, and then it will rotate itself in certain ways to find the final case, performing the final case, and then it will check itself to make sure it's actually solved. Once it is sure that it is solved, it will stop moving and we will have a solved Rubik's Cube. While it's solving, we'll have James explain the hardware.
So to build this thing, there are 72 unique LEDs. And we've been able to address those by pumping a serial line of data of 72 bits through a series of shift registers that have been daisy-chained together, taking the input and passing on to taking the output of one shift register and passing on to the input of the next shift register. So by doing that, we've been able to address all 72 LEDs and can light them up to the colors that we have. So you can note that, for example, our white color here on the top has red, green, and blue all active. The data for that color would then be 111 in binary, and we pass that through this shift register and can address that pixel or that frame as that color white. Each of the LEDs are then soldered to a resistor, which is soldered to ground, which then limits the amount of current that can run through these. Again, it'll burn your eyes out if you stare at it too long. Our goal for this is a prototype at the moment, but our goal for it would then be covered with an opaque plastic that you can then see the color through, but probably won't hurt you too bad for staring at it. There are 48 buttons wired into 12 sets of parallel configurations. You can just see right now our cube has solved itself, save for one unfortunate bug that does not complete our final rotation. And there it's solved.
As you can see, completely solved. All the faces are of one color.
Yep.
And we have white, violet, blue, green, yellow, and red, just like we did at the start.
There you go. So sitting there on the buttons, they have 48 unique buttons wired into 12 parallel configurations of 4 buttons each, because you can rotate a face from any 4 locations. If I was to rotate this cube, the counterclockwise up top face, you can rotate it on this cube from any of the top buttons. And I happen to rotate it twice clicking that button. So there are 48 buttons wired into 12 different rotation functions. There are also the 2 extra buttons on here, the randomize and the solve button. In total, we have those 12 button interfaces plus the 12 button rotation functions, the 2 randomize and solve functions, wires going to the microcontrollers. We also have the data line going into the shift registers, the clock line controlling the shift registers when they fire high and low, a voltage supply, and a common ground. So all in all, a good handful of wires going to our microcontroller. The prototype was really fun to build. It was a challenge to solder. In the future, if this project was to continue, I would highly suggest the use of a custom printed PCB and probably some better harnesses for our wires here. But all in all, it was a fun project to build and really enjoyed it. Thank you much.